If you've recently purchased a brand new RV from a dealer, whether that is a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, or some type of motorhome, and you've gone out on one or two, maybe half a dozen camping trips over the course of the year, you may have noticed that your black and gray tank sensors always indicate some amount of waste still left in the tank. You've dumped the tanks, you've cleaned the tanks, you've flushed the tanks, and still, the sensors indicate that the tanks are still not empty. I'm referring specifically to a brand new RV that you've recently purchased. I'm not referring to a 1 or 2 or 3 year old RV that's been on the road for quite a while and you're just now noticing that maybe the sensors always indicate waste still in the tank. Typically that's caused by dirty sensors, and that's the common thought and that's the common cause. What I am discussing today in this video are brand new RVs fresh off the dealer's lot. Ideally, when you purchase a new RV, you should do a pre-delivery inspection and go through all the steps to become familiar with the RV, have the dealer show you all the functions and so on and so forth. But it is entirely possible to miss some things, and that's exactly what happened to us. We went through all the functions of the refrigerator and the stove and the lights and everything, and we even filled the tanks and emptied them. This is one thing that we just did not catch. If I had seen this during our pre-delivery inspection, I absolutely would not have purchased this RV. This is a photo of the underneath area of our fifth wheel travel trailer. What you are looking at on the left is the gray tank for the shower, and you can see the pipe extending out to the right, and it goes through a cutout in a frame member. What you see at the bottom of the picture is the shiny Coroplast plastic material that lines the underbelly of the RV and protects all of the components under the RV and helps give some insulation value. I've already pulled it down, so that's laying on the ground, and again, what you see toward the top of the picture is the gray tank. Next, to help get some perspective, I've added a vertical reference line. The line traces the opening of the vertical frame member in the RV. Next, toward the center left area of the picture, I've added another vertical reference line that traces the corner of the tank. What I'm trying to show here is that the tank itself appears to have been installed properly. Next, I've added a red line that traces the bottom of the drain pipe along with the vertical reference line for the frame support. And what you'll notice is the pipe appears to be pointed uphill because that's exactly what is happening. The pipe is pointed uphill. And if you know anything about plumbing, you should not have a drain line that points uphill. In the case of most RVs, the pipe should at least be horizontal, if not have a slight downslope so that you can actually get proper drainage when you open the drain valve. It would be difficult or maybe even impossible to get any downslope between the bottom of the tank and the bottom of the frame member, just because of the amount of space that is available under the RV. You would end up with the drain pipe down below the edge of the frame, which would then drag on the ground. So typically a horizontal drain pipe would be acceptable. Clearly, I don't have that. Next, I've drawn a horizontal red line near the top of the pipe. What you can't see, because it's on the other side of the frame member, is that drain pipe keeps going for another 8 to 12 inches and therefore keeps rising for that distance. So the pipe is even just a little bit higher than what you see in this picture by the time it makes a turn to go to the side of the RV for drainage. Next, I've circled a sensor, and I believe this is the lowest sensor in the tank. If it's not the lowest sensor, then I think it's the next sensor up. But regardless, you can see that the top of the pipe on the right-hand side of the picture is above this sensor, and the bottom of the pipe is approaching the sensor. So if you extend the pipe out another 8 to 12 inches, the water level is always going to be right at about that sensor level. So however many gallons of water that is from the bottom of the tank to that sensor, that's how many gallons of water you're carrying around, and this is dirty water. With this situation, it's impossible to empty your tank unless you point the front end of your RV up in the air so that the water level in the tank is at least even with or a little bit above the bottom of the drain pipe. This is going to be probably almost impossible to do. So next I have placed a white circle around a metal band clamp that clamps around the drain pipe. This pipe just inserts into the tank, and that tank is a bit flexible and soft, so once you loosen that clamp, they have put some sealing kind of material around it, some gasketing material, and I was able to put a screwdriver in there and gently pry around that seal and break it free while I twisted a little bit on the pipe. So I was able to pull that pipe out and reposition that pipe. So this is how I solved the problem of having a sensor always show something in the tank, even when I knew for a fact I had drained it properly and drained it completely. It's probably not something that most people would think of, and honestly, I never gave it a thought until I actually pulled the plastic covering material down from the underbelly and looked under there myself. I'm not going to advise you to fix this yourself if you have no plumbing experience. If you've never done any work with PVC pipe or anything like that, I would suggest that you do get help, at least from a neighbor, a friend, a relative, because doing it yourself, even if you know what you're doing, you're going to have to hold up pipe at two ends of the RV at the same time and position pipe, and it's always good to have a second pair of hands while you're laying on your back to help hold things in place. So yeah, I would recommend at least getting some help, and if you don't have the knowledge yourself, then absolutely farm the work out either to an RV tech or I hesitate to suggest your dealer, because you'll be without your RV for 2 or 3 or 6 months. That's probably going to be more frustrating than not being able to empty your tanks. So anyway, if you got something out of this video, if it was helpful to you, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon.